I was a young man, fresh out of preschool, when I first heard the whispers of their names. Chidhumo and Masendeke. They were stuff of legends, two notorious criminals who had escaped from Chikurubi maximum security prison, and they were wreaking havoc across the country. My curiosity piqued when I delved into the case, poring over the news reports, police records, and eyewitness accounts. I spoke to people who were alive when these stories were made. I heard stories of their daring escapes and witnessed the fear that gripped the nation as they evaded capture. I became obsessed with their story, determined to understand what drove them to such violence and ruthlessness. I wanted to know how they had managed to outsmart the authorities and remain at large for so long. I tracked their movements, followed their trail from Manicaland to Masingo. Piecing together their patterns and motives, I spoke to those who knew the stories, trying to understand their personalities and their backgrounds, and what had led them down this path of crime. The more I learned, the more I realized that Chidhumo and Masendeke were not just criminals, they were symbols of a much greater problem. A society plagued by poverty, inequality, and a lack of opportunities. They were the desperate products of a system that had failed them, leaving them with no choice but to turn to crime to survive. Finally, after months of chasing shadows, I got my break. Chidhumo was captured in Mozambique, extradited back to Zimbabwe, and put on trial. I was there, covering the stories and watching as he was sentenced. In these stories, Masendeke, however, remained elusive, his capture a constant source of frustration for the authorities. It was until a shootout with police in September 1997 that he was finally cornered. His reign of terror was brought to an end. The capture of Chidhumo and Masendeke marked the end of an era, but their story serves as a stark reminder of the challenges faced by Zimbabwe, a country struggling with poverty, crime, and social unrest. The exploits of a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of desperation and the importance of justice. I will never forget the story of Chidhumo and Masendeke. It was a story that changed a country, that made me see the world in a new light. It was a story of crime, escape, and the relentless pursuit of justice, a story that will forever be etched in the annals of history. In the heart of Zimbabwe, during the mid-1990s, two names sent shivers down the spines of law-abiding citizens, Chidhumo and Masendeke. These notorious criminals, known for their ruthless robberies, murders, and daring escapes, became stuff of legends, their exploits capturing the imagination of a nation. Today we delve into the chilling tale of Chidhumo and Masendeke, exploring their infamous reign of terror and the manhunt that brought them to justice. Stephen Chidhumo and Edgar Masendeke first crossed paths in Mutimurefu Remand Prison in Masingo, where they were serving a 16-year sentence for armed robbery. In the harsh confines of prison, a bond was forged. They shared desperation and thirst for freedom, fueling their plans for escape. On a fateful day in November 1995, Chidhumo, Masendeke, and three other inmates overpowered prison guards, seizing weapons and breaking free from Kurubi maximum security prison. The audacious escape sent shockwaves through the country as the authorities scrambled to recapture the dangerous fugitives. Chidhumo and Masendeke fled to Mozambique, where they were regrouped and embarked on a spree of armed robberies, targeting businesses and individuals in Manicaland, Masingo, and Chirezi. Their reign of terror left a trail of fear and devastation as they ruthlessly plundered and left victims in their wake. The police, determined to bring the notorious duo to justice, launched a relentless manhunt, tracking their movements and closing in on their hideouts. Shootouts ensued, and Chidhumo and Masendeke evaded capture time and time again. Their cunning elusiveness earning them a reputation as Zimbabwe's most wanted men. In August 1997, Chidhumo's luck ran out. He was apprehended in Mozambique, extradited back to Zimbabwe, and charged with 24 counts of armed robbery, rape, and murder. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Masendeke, however, remained at large, continuing his criminal activities and evading capture. It was until September 1997 that he was finally cornered in a shootout with police. His reign of terror was brought to an end. The story of Chidhumo and Masendeke serves as a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity and the unwavering pursuit of justice. Their exploits left an indelible mark on Zimbabwe's history, a saga of crime, escape, and the relentless pursuit of law enforcement. The lives of Stephen Chidhumo and Edgar Masendeke were intertwined long before their paths converged in Mutimurefu remand prison. Both men hailed from humble backgrounds, their childhood marked by poverty, hardship, and lack of opportunity. Chidhumo, born in the rural village of Churumanzu, grew up in a family struggling to make ends meet. His father, a subsistence farmer, battled to provide for his wife and 6 children. Chidhumo dropped out of school early to help support his family. Masendeke's upbringing was no less challenging. Born in a bustling city of Harare, he was witnessed firsthand the stark contrast between wealth and poverty. His father, a mechanic, was often away for work trips, leaving Masendeke and his siblings in the care of their struggling mother. As a teenager, Masendeke found himself drawn to the allure of the streets, where he fell into a crowd of petty criminals. He started off with small thefts and scams, his desperation growing with each passing day. The streets became Masendeke's home, a place where he could find solace and a sense of belonging. His involvement in crime escalated, and he soon found himself facing his arrest. The story of Chidhumo and Masendeke offers valuable lessons about the consequences of crime, the importance of opportunities, and the power of human connection. The first lesson is the destructive path of crime. Chidhumo and Masendeke's story highlights the destructive path that crime can lead to. Their actions caused immense harm to individuals, families, and their communities, leaving a trail of fear and devastation. The cycle of violence is also another lesson that can be learned from this story. Their descent into crime was fueled by desperation and the lack of opportunities. Their actions, however, perpetuated the cycle of violence and reinforced the perception of crime as a means of survival. The impact on society is also another lesson we can derive from this. Their exploits not only affected the immediate victims of their crimes, but also instilled fear and distrust amongst the general populace, casting a shadow over society as a whole. Chidhumo and Masendeke's limited education opportunities hindered their ability to pursue legitimate paths and contributed to their involvement in crime. Their dire economic conditions in their communities limited their options for employment and financial stability, pushing them towards criminal activities. The need for survival and support systems is also highlighted here. The absence of strong social support systems and adequate counseling left them vulnerable to the negative influences that made it difficult for them to break out of the cycle of poverty and crime. The power of shared experiences. Their shared experiences of poverty and hardship formed a bond between them, provide them with a sense of belonging and understanding. Despite their criminal actions, they demonstrated the potential for human connection and the rehabilitation, hinting at the possibility of redemption and a different path. There's also the importance of empathy and understanding. Their story underscores the importance of empathetic understanding and the need to address the root causes of crime, such as poverty, inequality, and the lack of opportunity. The tale of Chidhumo and Masendeke serves as a stark reminder of the destructive consequences of crime, the importance of providing opportunities, and the transformative power of human connection. Their reign of terror left an indelible mark on Zimbabwe's history, a saga of violence and desperation. While their actions caused immense harm, their story also offers valuable lessons, as we discussed. Their shared experiences, despite their tragic consequences, highlighted the human capacity for connection and understanding in darkest circumstances. Their story serves as a call to action, urging us all to address the underlying issues that fuel crime and recognize the potential for rehabilitation.